welcome back to NCHC Media Day. I've always felt this event brought about great excitement as we prepared to start the season. After 18 months, that feeling has never been more apparent. Thank you to all the media members and conference partners for being here today. I want to say a special hello to everybody watching out there on our digital platform, NCHC TV. Hard to believe, but the NCHC is about to enter our 9th season of competition. As I say so often, we have so much to celebrate, yet so much to be thankful for. Our institutions have endured a great deal in the past year and a half, but the focus within the conference has remained consistent: to provide excellent experiences to the 215 student athletes across our member schools. Given it's been 2 years since this event took place, I want to acknowledge a few new people. First, we have 2 new head coaches. Taking over at Colorado College is Kris Mayotte. Kris was previously an assistant coach at the University of Michigan, and prior to that, Providence College. And recently taking over at Western Michigan is Pat Ferschweiler. Pat certainly is no stranger to the Broncos, having played in Kalamazoo and serving as an assistant coach on 2 different occasions. Second, we've had one change within our athletic director group. The NCHC lost a valuable member within this group this past summer when Trev Alberts took the same job at his alma mater in Lincoln. It is important to note he was the last athletic director still at a member school from the time when the conference originally formed. Trev was a great asset to us and will be missed. Fortunately for us, Omaha appointed a very deserving person into the AD role. Mike Kemp is within the DNA of Nebraska-Omaha. Having served as the program's first coach and long-tenured administrator, he's the perfect person to pick up where Trev left off. I'm excited for Mike and look forward to continuing our work together. Finally, to our 2 new institutional CEOs and board members, Dr. Song Richardson is taking over the president position at Colorado College, and Dr. Joanne Lee also took over the chancellor role at Nebraska-Omaha. I look forward to working with both Song and Joe, along with our other 6 board members during the coming year. Before we reflect upon a chaotic recent past, I want to acknowledge the people that make today happen. First, our conference staff. Like many in collegiate athletics, our staff has gone through so much in the past 18 months. What we've asked of our staff during those challenging times was not normal, yet they stay focused and committed to their work. I'm thankful for such a dedicated group that continues to put the needs of our member institutions ahead of their own. We recently announced a well-deserved promotion to the person who coordinates this event and much of our external efforts. Michael Wiseman has been a valued member of our staff since the conference beginning, and it was my honor to announce his promotion the other week as Associate Commissioner. We're also excited to welcome an energetic and creatively talented person to the team. Sam Keeney will complement Michael and enhance the content we create to engage fans. I would also like to thank Berta Toller and Don Adam, who also continue to do great work on behalf of the conference. Thank you to our great partners here at Xcel Energy Center, the Minnesota Wild, and the City of St. Paul for allowing us to host Media Day. And finally, many thanks to the student athletes and coaches who take a day out of their very busy schedules to spend time with all of you. Let me start out and say that we continue to be incredibly proud of what this conference has built and become over the past 8 seasons. We continue to believe that the best in college hockey can be found within the NCHC. Despite all that, what we endured to finish the 2019-2020 season and what came of last year was nothing like any of us had ever faced. During the spring of 2020, I went back and looked at the last time we had to cancel conference and national tournaments. What I quickly found as I scanned back to the first national championship in 1948 was that we never missed one. 72 straight champions have been crowned. It was the same for all major men's conferences. That adds up to a combined 303 straight national and conference tournament champions, not one missed, until the spring of 2020. If anyone told you there was a playbook for managing that abrupt end and what would we be facing the following season, they were lying to you. As last summer played out, the college athletic and hockey communities were prepared for what we all felt might be our most difficult in our history. At the same time, our society was watching and living through issues of racial injustice and inequity playing out on daily headlines. On top of this were other intercollegiate athletic issues that have riled our industry. Continued legal battles, the messy coming of name, image, and likeness, college football playoff expansion models, significant changes to transfer legislation, multi-sport conference realignments recently, a widening gap of resources across schools supposedly competing at the same level, and the overall viability and existence of the NCAA being questioned. It was and continues to be some of our most challenging times. We have entered a new world that will require us to adapt. To me, it signals the need for us to support student athletes well beyond their traditional athletic and academic rigors. And that's exactly the approach the NCHC has taken and will continue to take in the future. From that March 12th day in 2020, when we have attempted to act as a strong leader, protecting the interests of not only NCHC student athletes, but those across all of college hockey. As we approach the 2021 season, we crafted the most bold and robust strategy seen across all of college sports. Nobody, and I mean nobody, concocted a model to complete an entire regular season and postseason in the manner the NCHC did. Saddled with some of the most challenging geography and a high prevalence of COVID-19 across communities, we set out to create a plan that prioritized the health and safety. Very simply, our goal was to play hockey games. Admittedly, I was not overly confident that we would have a lot of success, but we were committed and determined to exhaust every option possible. With the help of so many people, but most importantly, the collaboration and support of our membership, we set out on a journey that included crafting a 40-plus page health and safety competitions protocol, building a schedule model encompassing 2 divisions to eliminate long-distance travel, starting the season in Omaha, Nebraska to play the first 38 games over 3 straight weeks, constructing a separate 30-plus page medical operations protocol for the pod itself, executing over 3,000 COVID tests during the pod and over 1,000 tests in the NCHC tournament with no active infection among Tier 1 participants, managing through many COVID disruptions while having a legitimate chance at the end to complete all scheduled games, finishing the season with a postseason tournament that included a single elimination format which took place all at one site. We had to reimagine a season. Not much from years past could be applied. Ultimately, 94 of 96 regular season contests in the entire conference tournament were played. We crowned a regular season and tournament champion, but most importantly, we played hockey and kept people safe. When we were faced with economic fallout from canceling a tournament, delaying the start to a season, having little to no fans in venues, and seeing a drastic reduction in revenues, the NCHC did not back away. But the real heroes from last year were our student athletes, coaches, support staff, and team medical personnel. Under constant scrutiny and having to follow strict protocols, these are the people that should be credited as to why last season was a success. I'm extremely proud of the role the NCHC played in making certain there was at least a 74th consecutive season for college hockey. Special recognition and thanks should be given to the University of Nebraska-Omaha for working closely with the conference to host the NCHC pod, and to the University of North Dakota for hosting the conference tournament. On the ice, the results continue to astonish. Over the past 8 seasons and 7 national tournaments, 27 total teams in the NCAA tournament, 12 total teams in the Frozen Four, 6 teams having played in national championship games, 5 straight national championship games, 4 national championships, and a 7-year combined non-conference winning percentage of .636. All of that is the best in college hockey. Individually, the NCHC has produced 46 American Hockey Coaches Association All-Americans, and 76 players have now played games in the National Hockey League. The work done by our programs continues to prove why the NCHC has arguably been the best conference in college hockey since its inception. From an academic side, I want to recognize the 62 student athletes who earned Crampade All-American Scholar recognition for their work in the classroom. The 62 is the most the NCHC has ever achieved in a given year. With very few opportunities last year to watch games in person, NCHC TV became an important tool to stay connected. Despite having fewer total games, the viewership for live events was up significantly, with an average of 3,000 viewers per game and 18 games having over 5,000 total viewers. We continue to see growth with annual subscriptions and total revenue, both up 33% from the prior year. We remain committed to improving the platform experience with our technology partner, Sidearm Sports. Enhancements are being made as I speak, and we believe the platform will be in a great spot come the start of the year. If anyone is not a subscriber, make sure to visit nchc.tv and sign up today. In capping off a unique year, the 2021 Frozen Face-Off was just another divergence in a season of anomalies. This event is the crown jewel for the conference, and to have it canceled abruptly in 2020 was devastating. Despite not able to be in Xcel Energy Center, the membership carefully analyzed a format and location for the tournament that could work. The City of Grand Forks and Ralph Engelstad Arena were chosen, and the 2021 event was held in the best manner given our circumstances. Most importantly, all participants were kept safe. An exciting single elimination tournament was held among a limited yet eager to see hockey group of fans. We very much look forward to being back in St. Paul next March, but we'll be forever appreciative of everyone at UND and the Ralph for making the 2021 Frozen Face-Off one we will never forget. Through the 18-19 season, we were proud of the fact that we operated in a surplus position for each of the first 6 years of the conference. This including our goal to build a reserve position to 1 year worth of annual operating expense. In the last 2 years of that 6-year stretch, we were able to distribute surplus positions back to our membership. The 2019-2020 season was poised for record financial growth. The cancellation of the entire tournament before it started certainly changed that outlook. The year concluded in a loss position, which was devastating but commonplace across all of college hockey and much of college athletics. Through strategic budgeting, we were able to weather the storm and minimize the impact to reserves. And with tactical moves made in expense reductions and revenue generated through NCHC TV and the conference tournament, the 2020-21 year will conclude in a surplus position. As I alluded to earlier, the racial injustice and inequities that played out during the summer of 2020 were impactful across our campuses. They've been used by our membership as an impetus to help usher in change. Through our Student Athlete Wellbeing Task Force, which was formed in the spring of 2019, the conference is continuing work in these important topics. As most know, the sport of hockey is not overly diverse. Although necessary improvement has been seen with opportunities for girls and women who want to play the games, inequities across genders still do exist. The NCHC is fully supportive of efforts being taken by the NCAA to review ways in which college hockey and other sports can be more equitable for both men and women. The NCHC and college hockey also recognize that more needs to be done to make our sport more inclusive and welcoming, particularly for those of color. The conference has taken a leadership position within the recently formulated College Hockey for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Task Force, along with myself, Paul Gerard of Nebraska Omaha, and Jasper Weathery of North Dakota, who recently signed a professional contract, were active participants within the task force the past year. The announced partnership with RISE will help the conference facilitate important conversations around racial inequities and social justice topics. Just 3 days ago, we held an initial climate discussion with a group of student athletes from all 8 member schools. We held a similar one with coaches and staff late last spring. These initial discussions will lead to more topical-based conversations with student athletes, coaches, and staff throughout the course of the year. One thing I know is our student athletes believe in it and understand the importance of this work. I've seen this passion from many firsthand. Our conference will continue dedicating efforts to ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion are a part of our student athlete experience during their time in the NCHC. Despite its own challenges with scheduling last season, our national television partnership with CBS Sports Network remained an integral part of telling NCHC stories across the country. And we are proud to enter our 9th straight season with CBS this coming year. Finally, I'm very proud that we continue to produce some of the best digital and social content in all of college athletics. We want to be, and I believe we have been, the most engaging conference in college hockey. We continue to prioritize the importance of creating content to engage fans while building affinity to the conference brand, showcasing successes of individuals, hockey programs, or the conference as a whole, and creating revenue opportunities for corporate partners who want to align with the best brand in college hockey. As you recently saw, we have diverted even more resources in this area by hiring a new digital content and creative services coordinator. So as we look ahead, we're excited to drop the puck on what we hope will be a normal season in some manner, culminating right here in St. Paul next March. As you all know, the pandemic continues to impact our lives. From the conference office, we're encouraging everyone that feels inclined to get vaccinated. Few of our institutions have required all students on campus to be vaccinated, but there's not a mandate or requirement across the board from the conference. This is a personal choice and will support the choices of everyone. But with just over 2 weeks remaining prior to our start, all of our programs have vaccination rates between 90 and 100%. Regarding COVID protocols, we're currently following the NCAA Sports Science Institute for all Tier 1 personnel. As many of you may know, there are differences to the requirements, particularly for testing and quarantine based on an individual's vaccination status. Ultimately, we will follow the recommendations by SSI and any additional requirements from each of our member institution campuses and competition venues. It's hard to believe the 2022 Frozen Face-Off is the 5th year on our original partnership with Xcel Energy Center in the city of St. Paul. Rest assured, our conference believes the long-term home of the championship weekend is right here. We are having discussions with our good partners here at Xcel Energy Center and Visit St. Paul to determine how we keep the Frozen Face-Off in the city for the foreseeable future. And as you likely saw, the announcement of the NHL schedule this summer, the Minnesota Wild will be hosting the Chicago Blackhawks in the afternoon of March 19th. This also means the 3rd place game in the conference tournament will be removed. Those renewing their tickets starting today will have an opportunity to purchase Wild tickets to the game that afternoon. We need our passionate fans to come out and support our student athletes in what will be one of the most memorable college hockey weekends of the year. Our conference is a paradigm for excellence. The Frozen Face-Off is a crown jewel event, and we look forward to being back here next March. As I've stated in the past, we've created a strong brand across college hockey, and much of that relates to our media rights relationships, both linear television and with digital platforms. We have been engaged in a process for the past 6 to 8 months to assess the value of our conference linear and digital rights. This process is long from over, but we're discussing options with our existing partners while assessing other opportunities that might be available to determine what the right strategy is for the NCHC moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, content creation is vitally important to engage our fans. The way we deliver that content is equally as important. It's important to deliver a solution that can continue the expansion of our brand, grow revenue, and be accessible to our fans. As I've already stated above, we've placed a higher priority around student-athlete well-being issues. I reference the work we're embarking upon within diversity, equity, and inclusion areas, including our partnership with RISE. We believe the relationship with RISE can be an impetus to bring critical conversations and educationally based programming to many groups across our member schools. We're also looking at ways in which the conference can be more supportive in the areas of mental health, sexual violence, and name, image, and likeness. As I close, I want to touch on a few national topics. I was incredibly proud of our sport the past 18 months, always making decisions with health, safety, and the overall best interest of the game in mind. To give you a sense of this togetherness, prior to COVID, the commissioners met once a month. Starting last summer, we met weekly until about mid-October, and then have been meeting every other week since that point in time. In an attempt to bring about a season, we collaborated on things like return to play protocols, scheduling models, postseason structures, standings, records, displays, NCAA legislation, and much more. Because of this approach, I believe we've been able to accomplish quite a bit, but not the least of which was hosting a historical college hockey season. Speaking of standings and records, I'd be remiss not to mention and thank Tim Dennehy publicly for all he's done for college hockey statistics. Most people would not know who Tim is, but he is the person behind college hockey stats. Tim is stepping away from overseeing our game's national stats as the NCAA is transitioning statistics across all sports to a new platform. Our sport owes a great deal to Tim, and we'll forever be grateful to his contributions. Academically, it's important to point out that college hockey continues to have an over 90% graduation success rate, which is at or near the top of all male sports. From a player development perspective, we have some of the best coaches, staff, and facilities in any development level of the game. We continue to show that college hockey is a ground to prepare players for the next level if they so choose, with over 1/3 of all players in the NHL coming from the NCAA. Never mind the challenges of attempting to conduct collegiate athletic competition in the middle of a pandemic. The past year or so for the NCAA has been difficult. Unfortunately, our industry has been riddled with turmoil and skepticism. We all must lead to address lingering issues across the spectrum and work collaboratively to find solutions that can allow the collegiate enterprise to be viable into the future. But you know what? It's easy to criticize the NCAA. We've all done it. However, it's an organization that has over 1,000 different institutions competing at 3 different divisions. And in Division I, arguably the most highly publicized level, you have drastic differences in resources across schools and conferences, and that's a difficult role for anyone. So as Mark Emmert is currently gathering a group to review the roles and responsibilities of the national office, I remain hopeful. One of the most significant changes that directly impacted our sport was the advent of the one-time transfer exception legislation being applied to all sports. There were many opinions on whether this was the right thing for college hockey. Unfortunately, those opinions didn't matter much. The reality was the environment nationally had changed, where restricting student athletes' ability to move from one school to the next was no longer acceptable. The concern that the NLI commitment means less today than it ever has might be more of a reality, but it speaks to the importance of recruiting prospects that you believe will fit the culture of your program. And once in the program, it's about those who can foster an environment whereby a student athlete does not feel inclined to leave. I believe the volume of student athletes within the portal this past spring is the highest we'll see. First, the legislation was brand new, and this was the first opportunity to transfer and be immediately eligible. Secondly, and likely more impactful, the additional year of eligibility provided to everyone who participated last year added significant pressure to rosters, likely forcing players to move. Bottom line is the transfer legislation was coming because of public scrutiny, congressional pressure, and litigation. and hockey can do very little to identify ourselves differently. One of the ways in which our industry has really fallen short in the past few years is lacking the ability to address economic opportunities tied to student athletes. The collegiate model is just that, collegiate. Yes, we act as a player development arena for a few select student athletes who move on to professional sports, but the reality is most will never have that opportunity. I get that mainstream collegiate sports in our society is watching college football and basketball on national TV networks and in front of full arenas and stadiums. And this leads to significant public scrutiny over the economic model of college sports. However, this should not have us thinking about professionalizing in a pay-for-play model. If collegiate sports operated in this manner for a select few, there would be significant implications to institutions' ability to sponsor a full range, broad spectrum of all sports, and most likely would have equity issues. Let's also not forget the Olympic opportunities that many athletes have because of their experience as an NCAA student athlete. Having said all that, we can and should provide economic opportunities to student athletes based on their name, image, and likeness. The process by which we got to NIL change just prior to July 1st reflects how difficult it has become to make significant change in the world of the NCAA. Regardless of how we got there, the NCHC and our member schools support the ability of student athletes to benefit and profit from NIL. And as I wrap up here, I want to touch on a few hockey-specific national topics. Unfortunately, we're still within a moratorium on conference-supported legislative change within the NCAA. There are other avenues we are exploring, though, to propose legislation into the upcoming cycle for review and potential approval. The commissioners and the AHCA have submitted a recent letter to the NCAA Student Athlete Experience Committee asking them to consider sponsoring two proposals that impact the well-being and welfare of ice hockey student athletes. The first proposal would adjust the first date of official practice to the Monday before the first allowable competition. What we find is that teams are competing on opening day or weekend without any real ample practice time. There is concern we are not properly acclimating student athletes for competition and many times putting them into games without much practice. The second proposal relates to what we were able to accomplish this year coming up, with the waiver to allow exhibitions against other NCAA programs. We are seeking a permanent legislative change similar to basketball and other sports that would allow for a practice scrimmage or exhibition to take place among other NCAA programs and not count towards the maximum contest limit. Finally, we have to continue thinking about what type of experience college hockey is providing fans and student athletes. The pandemic year has caused us all in higher education to think differently about how we operate. We need to be more mindful about the experiences had by student athletes and fans in our sport. Seemingly, conference structures have become more important than they ever have been. And with a review of the NCAA structure ongoing, they might be even more important into the future. Therefore, it's critical conferences work cooperatively with one another for the best interest of the sport. We live in a world where a fan has a lot of choices for their money and time. It might be obvious, but sometimes we forget we want and need fans engaged with our programs. We need to continue discussing areas that can collectively make our game better. Some examples may include regional scheduling and alignments. Are we doing our absolute best in alignments to provide fans the games and rivalries they expect? Ultimately, revenue opportunities and travel costs are important for the viability of programs on each of our campuses. And for fans and players, they want the best experience that can be provided. Playing rules. Are the rules of our game doing what we want them to do? One of the things the hockey commissioners have recently done is to formally organize all the directors of officials across the country and task them to communicate more frequently and collaborate more on rule consistency across the country. We've held 2 discussions to date and expect to see more cooperation in the future. In the national tournament, I was happy to see the Championship Oversight Committee approve the day off between the regional semifinals and finals. However, we need to be cautious of thinking the fan turnout at next spring's Frozen Four will automatically be there. The turnout in Buffalo did not meet our expectations. Everyone across the game is responsible for doing what they can to engage fans so that our most important event at the end of the year is the best experience we can provide our student athletes. But the one thing I can commit to you and promise to you is that the collection of commissioners will work extremely hard and diligently for everything that we believe can make our game stronger. This concludes my remarks for today. I want to state how excited we are to be back in the state of hockey here in the city of St. Paul and Xcel Energy Center. We can't wait to be back here next March. The Frozen Face-Off is going to be another great moment in our history and something fans will not want to miss. And as I always say, we have so much to be grateful for, yet so much we can still improve upon, and I still believe our best days are in front of us. I want to thank you for attending NCHC Media Day, and at this point, I'll open up to questions from our media members.
All right, welcome back, hockey fans. This is something I can say, welcome back. The new normal is here. It's NCHC Media Day, as you can see behind us. Scott Strande, Joe Paisley with us. We're here at the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Joe, you've been through many of these before. So far, anything different about these than any other that you've been to?
Well, everyone's a little, everyone's, media days are a lot like it every year. You like get the chance to see each other again, say hi and everything, but I think it's a little bit more, people are enjoying it a little bit more on a personal level because they're getting to see folks they haven't seen in a couple of years or be able to spend much time with them over, with the schedule the way it was. I think, I think that's been good. I think the players themselves are showing, well, they got some good kids, obviously they got some great kids, natural leaders here. That's part of the student athletes are chosen to come here in the first place, like a Bryan, Yoon at CC, or Kevin Connolly at Omaha just now. But I think they do appreciate. I don't think people the coaches and players probably not been that happy about facing a bunch of media people.
No kidding.
But I think it gives them that sense of normalcy that like they and everyone else in the world is craving so desperately. I think they're enjoying it a little bit more than they have in the past. I know I'm enjoying it a little bit more in the past than I have in the past because. Yeah, we're back to it, a little sense of normalcy, knowing where I'm going to be on October 2nd, where I'm going to be on October 8th and October 9th, getting a chance to break down, sit in the same chair for a few weeks in a row so it breaks down and starts fitting me perfectly like that old chair at the Bryan World Arena did. Little joys like that, I guess. I think a lot of people are pretty grateful that this is actually happening. And, and the free lunch was nice too.
Thank you, NCHC. Okay, so I will tell you that the thing that I'm enjoying the very most is seeing the one-on-one interaction. I think I told you that off camera, probably told anybody that would listen off camera, that what I missed the most was the interaction with the players and being able to sit down and read their answers to the questions just from a foot away instead of from a teleprompter or a camera or an iPad or whatever it might be. So I think that's what I'm enjoying most, and I think that's what I'm going to enjoy most.
Yeah, you're right. Getting a feel, the body it's hard to read the body language. When someone says something and you're seeing their body language, you get a better feel for what they really mean, what they're saying through the body language, which you don't capture through Zoom. I think anyone who's been in a business meeting through Zoom versus in person knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it's no different with the media here for sure. And I do think that has limited the access that the media has with the players. And I think that's something the media missed. I think a lot is the chance to get to know the kids, if you'll pardon the phrase, know these young men a little bit better through daily interaction or through some chance to talk to each other a little bit before the recorder goes on and things like that. And I think that's the kind of personal relationships that media I think enjoy. They like meeting these young men, and then of course in some cases I'm seeing going on to the big league, going on to the American Hockey League, going on to the National Hockey League, and saying, yeah, I know that kid, he's a good kid.
Right.
Glad to see him enjoy that success.
Okay, so the final thing on this little update here before we wait for Denver to come out, we had a chance to see Kris Mayotte. He's still smiling. I'm still ready to skate for him. I'd be on the ice right now if he'd let me. What a motivator. What a perfect fit for Colorado College. And you and I talked about it off camera, but he's going to be something special, isn't he? All indications are he was a very good hire for this program at this time. Really, the timing has been really good for them. I think the excitement of the new Robeson Arena is just. The program and the fans are already very excited. There's a real buzz to the program right now. A lot more than you expect a program was picked for 8th place in the preseason poll, by the way. A lot more buzz about this program than you'd expect from the last place prediction. And that's because of Kris Mayotte and the arena. And I think him joining the program at this time has sort of helped maintain that excitement. That I think would have dissipated eventually once the arena's been played in a few times. I think knowing the kind of culture he wants to bring in, knowing the experience he has, and I think the reality of it is, CC is a program that needs to have that up-and-coming coach, bring in that up-and-coming guy to establish a winning culture, and then something to build on, much like Don Lucia did way back in the day. Right.
Yeah. In fact, about the same time that the Broadmoor World Arena opened, by the way, and that there was a new arena for CC. there's a lot of parallels here that I think Leslie Irvine really hopes hopes those parallels turn into the successful formula that worked so well for Don Lucia before he went off to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Brought CC to the national championship game appearance.
And Leslie Irvine, of course, the athletic director, who is very involved. I've seen a lot of her already this season, and the games haven't even started for real yet.
Oh yeah. No, she's done a really great job, I think, of really learning. She's learned that campus and the campus culture really quickly. She's a very sharp AD. Really understands where Robeson fits in, both in the athletic department, also fits in the campus community as a whole. I mean, we talk a lot about the hockey arena, but the Student Services Center is going to be located right there, as well as part of the complex, and that's where the counseling and that's where the counseling center is. That's where all the students are going to come to buy their books at the bookstore there. Hopefully they'll wander into the Tiger store and buy some Tiger apparel. I'm sure
Right.
Leslie would hope,
I would hope.
And of course, any chance, anywhere there's a parking garage in downtown Colorado Springs, that's valuable territory as well. So,
Absolutely.
they're really hoping to make that a bit of a hub for the hardcore CC Tiger hockey fans and for everyone else. They're hoping that they can have a tour of that whole complex for prospective students, and then have those same students 4 years later go through their commencement ceremony in the same facility and really sort of create a nice little circle.
Nice loop, yeah, I like it.
A little circle of CC life, so to speak, and start there and end there as well. So, yeah, there's a real potential there for that complex to really be a pretty serious catalyst of growth and building community there on that campus.
Okay, we're done with CC. Let's jump on and see what Denver's got to say, and we'll be back.
Right.
All right, Coach Carle, I've been calling you guys the hidden gem this off season because nobody said much. Nobody's really jumped around. We've seen what you've done on paper with your recruits and with your building, but what's it been like up at Denver over the last 6-7 months?
Been putting a lot of work in to return back to where we're used to being, and just put the COVID year behind us. And so just a lot of the work's been getting our summer back to normal, get our freshmen in for their 6-week training session, into classes, getting our guys back for summer training at different pockets that work for their summer schedules, and then getting our alumni back in the building. Last summer our building was completely shut down, so I think obviously our players weren't in the building, our alumni weren't in the building, and so to get that back to full operation, full functionality, to put the time and the work in to get off to, like I say, a start that we're accustomed to, and build a foundation to get going for this year.
Now, I talked to you on the podcast, and I said if there was one team that maybe had the most frustration with the way last season went, was you guys didn't get your normal non-conference games. And I know how well you play in non-conference games, and I know how important that is to your season, but how difficult was that now in hindsight?
Yeah, you don't want to dwell on it too much, but I mean, it's the reality. We obviously did not have a non-conference. I think in the past 2-3 years we're like 18-1 non-conference, so it's been a huge part of our ability to move up the pairwise and to put ourselves in a position to make the national tournament. We knew full well going into the year that we weren't going to have that. Again, didn't play to our standard, and we take responsibility for that. Playing with a league-only schedule, but we are looking forward again to a regular preparation. Our guys are hungry to put last year fully behind us.
Final one for me is you're going to start the season with an exhibition against Lindenwood.
Yep.
How excited are you? Because I know you're a big part of wanting to grow the game in the NCAA game and create more lockers, and to bring a program that like Lindenwood into your building, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if you look at who we've played non-conference, ASU's on our schedule a lot in the recent years. We're playing them 4 times this year. Lindenwood, one of the most recent announcements to come Division I, not this season, but next season. So just starting to build a relationship with their staff and get them out for an exhibition game. I think it's a great opportunity for us, for them, to grow the game. We do want, especially out west, it's great to see, Anchorage hit their fundraising goal, place where I'm from. We obviously play Fairbanks every year, and so it's really important, I think, to have strong, healthy programs in the West, not only in the interest of Denver, CC and Air Force, but in the interest of college hockey and for just the development of the game overall. There's so many good hockey players in California, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, Alaska, Washington. So it's a great opportunity. We hope that the game continues to grow out west.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. We typically play a challenging non-conference schedule. Boston College, UMass, Providence, ASU, Air Force. I mean, we try and have quality opponents on it because the better schedule you have and the more wins you have against better opponents, the better it is mathematically for the pairwise. So that's the pairwise side of it. Additionally, we play in a really tough league, and so you want to play quality opponents so that you're ready to go against the other 7 institutions that make up our league. So I think for both things, it's really important. You want to be the best, you have to play the best, you have to beat the best. And so we certainly try and schedule a challenging non-conference slate any opportunity that we can.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your freshman class. Really good recruits coming in, guys that have played at the high level and should be able to step in and help you. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, we've been excited about what we've seen in them here in the early going. Obviously, we chose to bring them in this year, and so yeah, there's really talented and I think professional and detailed people within the class. They're hockey players. They want to win and they want to get better every day. So I think they're pushing and driving the bus in the right way and helping us a lot right now.
And talk about your goaltending. I know it's an important factor on every team, but how important is it that you guys get some really solid goaltending this year?
Yeah, no, it's vital. That's an area that needs to improve from last year. Magnus Krona's back. Had very direct conversations about it. He understands that it wasn't up to his standard. The year that he had wasn't up to our standard either. And so I think, again, failure is a real good motivator at times in life. And Magnus has had a very productive and detailed summer. And looks very detailed and good in the early going in our preseason training camp.
Okay, so 18 months ago we were normal. Now we've gone through the pandemic and we're getting into what I'm calling a new normal. Mm-hmm. Are you noticing things from players that maybe saw that hockey was almost taken away from them or was taken away from them in some sorts and are expecting them to maybe not take things for granted this year?
I don't know if you'd see a huge difference. I think a lot of where our motivation comes from is just the lack of our hitting our standard last year. Yeah. I don't think there's not a lot of talk about COVID in our room or amongst our group with appreciating things. I think it's a natural human innate thing that we probably all do, but again, we're very motivated to come together as a group, be 2 feet in, team first, and again, show that last year wasn't who we are.
All right, thank you. Captain of the Denver Pioneers. How's that sound? You like the way it sounds?
Oh yeah, a lot. It's been fun so far, so it's exciting.
All right, our Southern California guy. We had you on the podcast last year. Had a chance to visit with you a little bit. I called Denver kind of the sleeping giant this year. It's been real quiet around your campus. We haven't heard a whole bunch. We saw your recruiting classes. Are the Pioneers ready to go?
Oh yeah, we're ready to go. We've had a good summer, and I think everybody's really pumped. Like last year wasn't the year we wanted, so I think with the freshmen coming in and the guys that returned, like we're ready to go right off the bat.
Last year was obviously a pandemic year, and things were different in the pod. But if there was one team I think out there that missed non-conference games, it was you guys. You like to build through the non-conference into the conference. Was that a big loss? Could you guys feel that now in retrospect that you really missed those non-conference games?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's just the non-conference. I mean, I think it's definitely fun to go play in the non-conference games, and it's good for building our team into the conference as well, because obviously NCHC is one of the hardest conferences to play in. But I think just now having the opportunity to build relationships on and off the ice at a closer level without the COVID rules will help us the most.
Okay, so you've been on the ice for a little bit now. You've got to see some of your freshmen. How are they fitting in, and are they ready to help you guys this year?
Oh yeah, they're ready. We got a bunch of good freshmen coming in. It's one of the biggest things I'm excited about. They're standing out and they're ready to make an impact right away.
And the leadership group, pretty solid group.
Yeah, we're excited about that too. The exciting thing about our team is we got a lot of leaders. It's not just going to be a few guys, but we got a lot of personalities that can step up in big moments.
Okay, so I'm from Minnesota. I know Andy Brink, Bobby's dad,
Okay.
from way back when.
Yeah.
Are you able to keep him under control?
Yeah, I mean, I live with Bobby, so I get to see the Brinks pretty often, and I met his dad a couple months back, so it's been fun getting to know them.
Has he taken you to the golf course yet and teaching you anything?
Not yet. I went with Bobby a couple times. He lives for the game. He loves golf.
Absolutely he does. Cole Guttman, good luck this year, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Real question.
Okay, Coach, a couple from me.
Sure.
You know they're coming.
Love it.
You've been on the ice now for a little over a week, the Ed Robeson Arena ice.
Yes.
So before you got there, you spent a little time at Air Force. So talk about that connection and the ability to be able to go there and get a practice or two in.
Well, it was great, and I think it just kind of fit the bill for what we're trying to do with our culture and our team. Is we're walking into a brand new arena, and it's gorgeous. You have a new coaching staff, but there's still a lot of work to be done to become successful. And the guys have responded, and they really have. They've worked really hard. They've done everything that we've asked, and that was a part of it. That was we've talked right from day one about earning everything. And so we wanted to make sure that when we walked into Ed Robeson Arena, our guys felt like they deserved to be walking in there for the work that they've put in, and they responded. So we had a 5 a.m. departure every morning from campus and 6 a.m. practice, and they were great. It was funny as it went on. The bus to Air Force got more and more lively. There was more and more chatter, and they kind of became accustomed to it. So, and we're grateful for Frank and Air Force for giving us that opportunity and allowing us to kind of build as a team and handle, although very minor adversity, handle some adversity.
Okay, so now you're home, right? What's it been like since you're home?
It's been great, and part of it is reminding guys that we still have a lot of work to do, because that's been something we've talked about so much, and something that we've looked forward to so much is the first day we let them look around a little bit and take it all in, but then remind them that the work that we were putting in at Air Force, where technically it was probably easier, right? You're at 6 a.m. There's nothing else going on. You might as well get your work done. Remind them that it's the same mentality that's gonna allow us to continue to grow. And like I said, I give them a ton of credit. They've responded really well. They've been working really hard, really receptive. And they push each other, and that's what we've asked. Is the goal for this preseason was to have some shared adversity and grow, and they have to do that for each other, and they've lived up to that.
One thing I wanted to set a little context. Back when the Broadmoor World Arena was being built and the old Broadmoor Ice Palace was torn down, CC had to play its games under Donovan up at Air Force.
Right.
And of course they got the great 2 p.m. Sunday game times and all that kind of stuff. But still, Air Force sort of stepped up. Does it just make it that much more appropriate that Air Force is your exhibition opponent on October 2nd?
I think so, and I think it's a great day for Colorado Springs, and for hockey in Colorado Springs, that we get to kick off the college hockey season, with a celebration of a brand new downtown arena, where we get to be on campus for the first time in our history, but at the same time we get to do it with our crosstown, rivals, opponents, whatever you want to call them. But Colorado Springs hockey, college hockey, it's great, right? There's great support, and so to kind of have it all come together that way, and like I said, open up a brand new state-of-the-art arena downtown on campus with Air Force is it's pretty cool. I don't know that you can draw it up much better than that.
Kris, final one for me is, have you had a chance to really look through your roster now and see them on the ice and really try to put some projections together as where you think you're going to be?
You know what? It's hard to say because we're competing against each other, and a big part of what we're really conscious of as a staff is coming in with an open mind and really trying to find what can allow us to be successful. And so, you know, there have been a lot of things that have popped up already that we're excited about, that quite honestly we probably didn't expect. Whether it's individual efforts or the group mentality or, you know, anything like that, there have been a few things that have popped up that excite us, and so we just want to keep fostering that, and we want to keep building that belief, and keep instilling the confidence that if we keep doing the right things, if we keep working the way we're working, you know, good things are in our future. And so that's really as far as we've gotten in terms of projections, is keep working every day, keep putting in the work that it takes, and if we continue to do that, you'll earn the right to, when you win, you know, you did it because you believed you could. It's not a surprise, and that's really what we're shooting for.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank
Trying to
you.
use the word wrong as much as possible. Of course, new coach, new arena, normal is not really quite the right word to describe CC at this point.
Nope.
From a player's perspective, what is it like to have the schedule come out, know that you got an exhibition game on October 2nd? How important is it to have that sense of normalcy, knowing that you got a games coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice just to get our feet going. I mean, it kind of feels like a long time before we've had a game, especially if they allow fans in. I'm not sure about that whole policy, but just kind of getting back into the swing of things. It feels like it's been a long summer, so getting back to it is super important.
Well, we talking about the normalcy aspect of it. I mean, things that I think I remember as a sophomore, you know, the Grand Forks that coming to an end. Such an odd season last year. It worked out great, but you know, does it make you more appreciative of having a full slate ahead of you with a regular season? Are you more appreciative, especially as a senior?
Yeah, 100%. You know, last 2 years have been, not last 2 years. Last year was definitely weird. The end of last year was definitely a shock for everyone. And like you said, when we were going to North Dakota, it was definitely heartbreaking to see some of our seniors kind of go through what they went through, getting there, getting halfway there, getting the season canceled. So I think it's definitely something you got to think about, and you know, something you just got to be grateful for. So yeah, having a normal year, I'm looking forward to it.
As a senior, you know, you're part of a transition. You have your first year under a new coach. Your ability to contribute to the program is to help establish a culture. What are you, as a senior, what can you do to get this program headed in the right direction for your time to go?
I think the biggest thing is just, you know, making sure that we're just good people at the end of the day. I mean, we follow and we preach the same thing that Coach says to us all the time, and I think we just have to be continuing that preach and that talk and just make sure that it gets through the whole locker room. You know, there's been a lot of changes, like I said, and it's basically just a foundation for what we can do.
So, Bryan, when you talk about the transition now, not only from a new coach to a new building, I often wonder, as a player, does the momentum feel it? Do you feel it? If you walk into that building, do you feel like, hey, we're not just the Broadmoor guys anymore. We're in our own building. We're in Ed Robeson Arena.
Yeah, there's definitely an energy around it. I'd say the craziest thing is that there's still small things that are getting fixed within the building. So every time you walk in, there's some little new experience you get to see.
Is that confidence real? Do you think it's going to show up on the ice for you guys that, hey, we're playing in this building now, we're playing for our fans, we're playing for Mr. Robeson to put the money up for it, all of that stuff? Is that real?
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we're very grateful for Mr. Robeson for everything he did, but it's also, we had so many alumni and so many past graduates that donated to the arena building that you got to think and sit back and wonder that you got to do something for all of them. So I think everyone's just excited to buzz around there.
Okay, your chance to give a recruiting pitch to anybody that might want to become a Tiger in the future. What's it like? Why should they be a CC Tiger?
Why you should be a CC Tiger? Well, one, we got a brand new rink that's unbelievable. Two, we got a great school, great academics, and three, it's a tight-knit community. You're gonna know everyone. It's a small school. You're gonna get around easy and make a lot of friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One. All right, we're back. It's still NCHC Media Day. As you can see behind us, the logos are up. The we've all been fed. We're all still wearing our masks. We've already talked to Colorado College. Now is our chance to visit with David Carle and Cole Guttman from Denver. A little different vibe. Joe, I told you this off camera. I said Denver's a little bit different this year. They're really kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Your thoughts after talking with those two?
You know, I mean,
Confirmed?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they do keep things a little close to the vest, but I think part of it is they did admit that what's been is fueling them going into this year is the fact that they missed the NCAA tournament for the first time in 18 years. Think about 18 years and think about the average age of a college hockey player.
Yeah.
And realize just what that says about Pioneer hockey, frankly. And why it's such a respected program, and why it's surprising how quiet things have been about the program this off season. But I do think they've turned inward a little bit to sort of focus on what they need to do to get back the NCAA to meet the expectations, the lofty expectations that started with George Gwozdecki, and to get back to that spot. There's a standard at Denver, and they did not meet that standard, and they're the first to admit that. And whether it gets, when you ask the question, they get just a skosh grumpy about it. Oh, because it's a sore spot, because they have expectations for themselves. They didn't meet it, and so they are focused on getting back the NCAAs. They can say all they want that they turned the page on last year, but media folks aren't going to let them forget that either.
No,
we're
not at all.
And I imagine everyone else there. I didn't hear all the questions, but I can't imagine that question didn't come up at least. I don't know if there's 4 different groups of media sitting at the table. That question would come up 4 times?
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the way it is with media, but especially I think with the fact that Denver just fell short of expectations, and I think they seem to have all the pieces, including a strong freshman class, to get back to meeting those expectations, and that's really why I think in the preseason poll they were picked 4th place. That's 4th place in the NCHC league means you're around that 14 to 17 spot in the pairwise, means you're right there to get it back in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And with the advent of the normalcy we've talked about with a non-conference schedule, a real non-conference schedule, not just going straight into the pod in Omaha like last year, they have a chance to one, get ready for NCHC, but more importantly, pick up some valuable pairwise points that's going to really pay off for them at the end of the year when they start, where they'll end up in those rankings, whether they're at number 12 or at number 17. I mean, that's where the difference is going to be, and that's, of course, is the difference between making the NCAAs and not making the NCAAs.
Okay, so 3 points that I took away. Number 1, quiet confidence. It seems like that group is very confidently quiet. I thought it was interesting that Coach Carle told us that he talked with Magnus Krona, his all everything goaltender from a couple of years ago, and they both agreed that he did not have a season up to his standards. Interesting. And thirdly is he talked about his freshman class, and he talked about them coming in and fitting in because they were so professional both on and off the ice. That's what we're seeing more and more of in top college programs, is the professionalism both on and off the ice. It's hard to say that as when you're talking amateur sports, but with the NIL and all of that, they are becoming well-rounded humans.
Yeah, and I think social media, them growing up in social media, a social media world has really played a role in that, actually, because they are on all the time, and they know that now. And but they're also coming from very these are all guys that are picking up valuable experience, whether it's the opportunity to play in the World Junior Showcase or to play for Team USA or Team Canada in the junior championships and things like that. These are all guys that are at that level, so they get these extra opportunities to deal with the media crush and to deal with everything else. And I think that prepares them for NCAA hockey and prepares them for media days like this, which are really low key compared to what you'd experience at the World Junior Showcase or something like that. Real different. So this is quite easy for them, frankly. But yeah, they are ready. And they're playing for very well-regarded junior programs as well in USHL and the NHL, but a lot of very good USHL programs like Chicago and Sioux Falls and Sioux City that really prepare these guys for college and get them ready to be the kind of players that NHL scouts like, and the kind of kids that get picked in the at least the later rounds. The kind of players that NHL scouts identify as projects that can use a couple years in college to develop.
Every time I come to one of these events, whether it's a formal media day like this or just a media day like at Arizona State, where it's just the local media and the teams, I'm finding every single year, Joe, that you expect to get certain answers from certain things, but you dig for different things, right? And you wonder what's going on in the programs, and I think the professionalism part of it is something that just keeps jumping out everywhere. Every coach wants his team to be disciplined, be professional, and I don't think that's changed from years past, but it seems like it's more prevalent right now. Is that something you're seeing too?
Yeah, and I do think it's social media. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think that's a big role in it, because I do think, one, they're more social media savvy, and the schools that work with them are also more social media savvy.
Right.
And there are lessons to be learned by other people's mistakes.
Yep.
And you make a mistake on social media, everyone who wants to know about it knows about it, and people who don't want to know about it know about it. Just ask Nicki Minaj's cousin.
Right.
Earlier, I think yesterday, if I recall.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to get into what we're about, but anyone who knows what I'm talking about will know exactly what I'm talking about. But they've learned, and I think, and I remember a few years ago, the CC marketing folks had a little 30-minute course on social media and how to act on social media and how to avoid really awkward questions from people like us. And I think that's important, and I do think that is a big reason why these kids are as polished as they are. I just think it's the environment they've grown up in now. Think about, we're talking about 18 years of Pioneer hockey making the NCAA tournament. Well, that's long before. When did Twitter come on? I don't know, but 18 years it was
right.
pretty much non-existent, right? Or
yeah, exactly.
Not as dominant as it is now. Not as dominant as other social media, and there's probably some social media out there that an old guy like me has no idea about, and that's probably just as well. I think for me. But,
stop the old guy stuff, because I got you by a few.
Okay. Sorry, I just had a birthday, so I'm feeling
I hear you.
Or the plane ride took it out of me, one of the two. I'm not sure which, but no, I do think that I've been in social media and them living in that kind of world has played a big role in getting them. Teaching them how they need to act in public, and realizing that the camera's on them all the time, whether they realize it or not. And so, I do think they've learned from that. But I think in Denver's case, there is definitely a quiet resolve to get back to the level, the national level that they're accustomed to. And I think looking on paper, they have all the pieces they need to do so. And with a non-conference schedule this year, and a quality non-conference schedule as well with Air Force, Arizona State. I think that Lindenwood exhibition is going to be really big for them, helping them getting ready for the non-conference, the games that
exactly.
count.
Yep.
Those are that exhibition game matters because it gives people game film to work with, and it's going to be huge for a CC where everyone's learning where the coaches are learning the kids.
Yep.
And it's big for Denver to see where people fit in. Is this fourth line guy, third line guy now? Is this guy? Now, is this guy in a suit now because he's fresh and came in and took his role? Is he going to be guys wearing a suit in the stands?
Yep.
Or is this freshman going to be stepping in? These are all big opportunities, and I think that's important.
So you led me into the last segment. When we get to the last segment, we're going to be talking about things on paper. Mm-hmm. You had a vote in this, didn't you? So we can figure out exactly where we think this NCHC conference is going to play out come March, when the next time we're back at XL Energy Center for the Frozen Face-Off. We'll be right back. Okay, last segment, folks. I promise we won't bore you to death any longer from NCHC Media Day right here at the XL Energy Center. Scott Strande, Joe Paisley with you for College Hockey Southwest Weekly and College Hockey Southwest Live. Okay, there was a poll that came out, Joe. You voted. Mm-hmm. I didn't get that privilege. You've been in this a lot longer than I have, so you had a chance to vote. Before I ask you how you voted, tell us where everybody ranks in these 8 teams in the NCHC preseason poll-wise.
Well, the preseason media poll came out on Tuesday, and it was the usual suspects, as so often is the case, just in a different order each year, basically.
Right.
But this year, they with 21st place votes and 195 points total, St. Cloud State was chosen to be is the preseason favorite according to media, followed by Minnesota Duluth with 3 first place votes. North Dakota with one first place vote. Actually, the difference between Minnesota Duluth and North Dakota was 1 point, 143 to 142. So
Wow.
says a lot about what people think of North Dakota and Duluth and where they're at. Denver got a first place vote and was a not very distant fourth place. Omaha right behind them in fifth, not that far behind. Western Michigan, not that far behind in sixth. And then the numbers drop off quite a bit. Miami, for instance, Western Michigan garnered 105 points to be picked for sixth, while Miami had 45. So that was a big drop off between sixth and seventh to Miami. And then, of course, trailing, as I think everyone would expect, with a new coach taking over the program, Colorado College with 33 points. So I think most people in the media probably chose either Miami or Colorado College, either seventh or eighth, pretty interchangeably there, I think. And I don't think that's necessarily incorrect because, Colorado College, with all the excitement and the buzz about the program, with the new building and the new coach, it's still a rebuilding program at this point. And a rebuilding program in a very, very tough league. So,
How?
it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, no question.
Okay, so part two of that, your vote. Did you go along with it the way it was, or did you have things interchanged?
Things moved around a little bit, but overall, it was I was pretty consistent with the rest of the media based on what we know of the teams, which is not a heck of a lot until we actually see them play.
Right.
But based on paper, as we do this time of year, St. Cloud State, was my choice for first place. I had North Dakota at second, and then Duluth. I could have flip-flopped either way, and it sort of actually was reflected a little bit in the voting here, I think, as well, how close they were, 143 points to 142. So I could be very close to being right or very close to being wrong, depending on how it works out. And then Denver. I had Omaha fourth, followed by Denver, and it's not to disparage Denver by any means, but I thought with 22 guys back from last year's team and a young team that I think, if they grow, I thought they were a viable fourth place team, which means an NCAA tournament team. And I thought, with that situation, Denver would be a very strong fifth place. In fact, the idea of 5 teams from the NCHC making it into the NCAA tournament is certainly not impossible by any means. In fact, of this non-conference schedule, I think that'll actually help quite a bit, I think, for Denver. But Denver and Omaha, I had them flip-flopped, but that's no disrespect for Denver. Fifth place in the NCHC means you're a very fine team. I did have Western in sixth, I had Miami in seventh, and I had CC at 8. And again, that's just simply because there's just so many questions about CC right now. You got a new coach.
Yep.
Miami has, Ludwig Persson back. He was one of the first, he was one of the all preseason honorees coming in.
Right.
Western Michigan had some good players coming back as well. But maybe not quite enough of those high-end guys. So you got some very good high-end guys at Western Michigan. They have a new coach, but not really a new coach. He's been around that program quite a bit, so I think the transition is going to be pretty smooth.
Yeah, I think so too.
So really, when you go 1 through 6 in the NCHC, you're talking about awfully good teams.
Yeah.
And really, what usually can make the difference between first and sixth is injuries. If injuries come up, then a deep team like the Huskies or the Bulldogs or North Dakota. I mean, those guys that on paper right now look very, very, very strong can end up being a middle of the pack team, and that's still pretty. Again, the caveat: this is the NCHC. Your fourth place team means you're an NCAA tournament team. And you might be a 12th seed, you might be a 13th seed, but you're going to make it.
But you're in the
dance. Be a tough
Yep.
out, extremely tough out. So I think injuries are going to be ultimately proven to be the most decisive factor, as it is every year. But if a preseason media poll comes out the way it is, which never happens.
No, it never does.
Because of these injuries
Never
I
does.
referred to. But I think and if anything, if Scott Sandlin at Duluth, we can point to that preseason poll if he ever needs to give his guys a little bit of a nudge and say, hey, look, they disrespected us.
Yep.
North Dakota can do the same thing. Denver can do the same thing. Omaha can especially do the same thing. And Western Michigan, Miami, and Colorado College, they have enough problems for them to worry about. They don't need to worry about a preseason poll. They need to look inward and get ready for the meat grinder that the NCHC is. They got to get ready in October with their non-conference schedule and get ready for NCHC play. And I think whichever team comes out of that most ready and most confident, they'll be ready to go. So that'll be big for CC, I think, to set the stage for them to do better than finishing in last place under the new regime.
Okay, let me tell you what I see in my opinion.
Sure.
I don't think we're going to have a clear-cut number one. I think 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 are going to be really battling. I think it may interchange back and forth. I don't think anybody's going to take and run away like you would see a North Dakota do in the past, or maybe a Minnesota Duluth do in the past. So I think that's first and foremost. Number 2 is, one of the things I kind of wish I had asked to some of the coaches and players was, it's a normal versus new normal, but part of that normal is bringing your fans back, bringing your band back, your student section. How much momentum can you gain off of that? I asked Bryan Yoon from Colorado College about momentum. I said, do you guys feel that? Do you think it's going to help you in games, in that new building, in the new digs, if you will? He said it was real. So if that's the case, a packed 11,000 at Ralph Engelstad Arena, a packed 3,400 at CC, a packed whatever it is at Denver now, 9,000, 10,000, something like that. Is that going to have a difference? Is that going to make a difference in the season and ultimately the end rankings?
Well, I think so. I mean, ultimately, yeah, because I think home ice was something that was negated a bit in the pod. You saw that in Omaha.
Incredible.
You saw some, and I think you saw some situations where a team with a little less talent did not get steamrolled by the home team momentum that you'd see. Yeah, the pod was a whole different little microcosm, but I think it was a good one. It's important they got the games in, period.
Yeah, fact.
Big time. But I do think that having fans there was a big factor in that as well. St. Cloud, the kids go nuts. Duluth, the kids go nuts. North Dakota, holy smokes. Magnus can be really hopping sometimes, depending on who the opponent is,
And I'm telling you, CC's going to be hopping. People aren't saying it yet, but 3,400 seats right on top of you, they are going to be hopping.
Yeah, the Tigers are just going to have to give them something to get hopping about. Simple as that, that comes down
always
to
comes down to that, doesn't
always
it?
Does. Wins are the great cosmetics. Wins cover up a lot of blemishes. There's no question about it. It's a great cosmetic. Cosmetic.
Okay, Joe, we're September 16th right now. We're very near the start of the season. Just your thoughts on your excitement level personally of what we're going to see in college hockey back in this quote-unquote new normal.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when I walked into Robeson Arena for the first time last Thursday, I was really ready for the season to get started. Like I admitted to you, and I'm not a good enough writer to convey what that building's like. I'm really not. There's an excitement around the program because of that building, and I think there's an excitement in the coaching staff, the training staff, all the support staff. They're all excited. They're all very excited about having their own building, their own home, that they call it. Now, how long that excitement lasts until you hit that 5-game skid, until you hit that 4-game skid, and then this excitement will dissipate a little bit. They might have to come down to earth a little bit. But right now, there's a lot of excitement for CC College hockey, and conversely, because I cover them in Air Force and Denver, I'm excited about seeing what they can do. I'm excited for the St. Lawrence weekend, see what they can do there. If they can take care of business against St. Lawrence, this young group that's going to be learning to play together is going to develop a confidence that they desperately need to get ready for the NCHC. Because to me, when you're when a team that's got so many question marks like CC, they're going to have to build up some confidence and get ready to take on St. Okay, hey, look, the preseason number 1 in the league, St. Cloud State, right out of the gate.
Right.
And if all this plays out, the team they would play in the postseason potentially.
Right.
We'll see. I think they need that, and I think they need to use the excitement and the momentum from the new building to propel themselves to play at the best level they can once November rolls around. And then you win a few NCHC games, and suddenly you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and the standings reflects that.
Yes.
Standings reflect that. You mentioned how home ice is going to come down to the final weekend like it almost always does.
Right.
And the 5th place team, and maybe the 1st place team will. Who knows? Last weekend, 1st through 5th could be up in the air. It's going to be absolute bear for anyone trying to book plane tickets ahead of time. Which is too bad.
That's a true media person speaking there, folks.
Oh yeah, no, seriously, you're sitting there during the second intermission of your game, and you're like, okay, where's my team going now? Okay, and then you're on your travel site going, okay, this will work great. I'll end up in Austin for 5 hours, but that's okay because I'm going to be and then you're like, oh wait, someone won an overtime, so you're like, okay, I guess I'm going here.
Well, we'll put a wrap on NCHC Media Day. It's always fun to see everybody, all the optimism, But with our two teams in our coverage area in Colorado College and Denver, I think it's safe to say that we have two of the most unique hockey coaches in the conference, because David Carle, very stoic, very close to the vest in everything that he does and says, and Kris Mayotte makes you want to run through a wall for him if you're just sitting in next to him and talking. His smile, his excitement, his just love for the game is off the charts. And I'm not saying that to take away from anybody else. I'm just saying that that I mean, most people would look at CC's opportunity and go like, oh boy, that's a tough job, right? The school, the academics, the recruiting, but he's taken it and just said, hey, I'm taking it and I'm running with it.
Yeah, and he really does look like the right hire at the right time for CC, and I think David Carle has been a very good hire for Denver as well, and he knows the standard firsthand. He's a true pioneer, and from
boy, how many times did you say that today?
Yeah, that's probably why I said it.
Everybody
sink in here into my brain and words. But yeah, he's right. Tried and true pioneer, and he's grown up with that program. It's been a big part of his life, and so yeah, he's a great representative for that program. And yeah, while he might not be as exciting as Kris Mayotte in his delivery and everything else, he has a quiet determination to get the program back to what his expectations are and what the athletic department's expectations are as well. So
quiet confidence. I'm looking forward to it, Joe. Thanks for jumping on board with us. I'll see you in Colorado very, very soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, that's a wrap from the NCHC Media Day. Scott Strande, Joe Paisley with you for College Hockey Southwest Weekly and College Hockey Southwest Live.